stripping, how I became an exotic dancer. All right, let's get into it.
Walking through the high seas. It's me, I can't see, I can't come back.
So basically, I was about 21 years old, or 20, turning 21. And I had this ex friend, and we grew up together in Japan. And basically, she moved to LA, and our plan was to move to LA together. But we had a falling out because she met a boy who she, went homeless with, even though his family lived in California. And I don't know why they didn't live with his family, but they didn't live with his family. So basically, she asked me for some money, and I told her I would have to think about it because she stopped talking to me for about 2 weeks, and that was not like her. So I had seen on my phone that she was still logged into my Instagram, or into her Instagram, my bad. I had seen on my phone that she was still logged into her Instagram. So I looked into her Instagram, and I saw her talking shit about me to her new dude. Basically, we fell out for about a year. And then all of a sudden, I saw her, and she called me one day, and she was living in this like really nice apartment. And I was like, how are you able to afford all this? Mind you, before that though, I was checking up on her like periodically, maybe like once every 3 months, and being like, hey, are you okay? Hey, are you okay? And a lot of the time she would ignore me, right? Because of course she's mad that I didn't give her any money for her talking shit about me. So one day she answers one of my texts, and then we're talking, we're FaceTiming, and she's living in this lavish apartment. I'm like, how are you able to afford all this? And she said, well, I finally became the model that I wanted to, because that was her dream. She wanted to be a model. I wanted to be an actress. We were going to do the LA thing together, and bada bing, bada boom, we were going to, live our best lives. So she, told me that, and then I ended up flying out there to see her, and she pretty much was like, psych, bitch. I'm not modeling for real, for real. I mean, she kind of was modeling, but it was like more freelance, but it wasn't like paying her bills. So she was like, psych, bitch, I'm actually stripping. And I was like, what?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
So yeah, anyways, yeah, my first club was in Los Angeles, and I will not say which club it was at, but yeah, I started dancing there, and that was a whole journey within itself. I danced there for like maybe like 2 weeks, a week maybe. I liked it. When I first started dancing, I really liked it because you get money for dancing. And I was like, that's easy compared to being at Sephora and getting maybe like, my paychecks were so, dude, I don't even remember what my paychecks were, like $500. So maybe I made $1,000 a month, right? And then before I started stripping, I was working at a bank. And I made $800 in 2 weeks. And I was like, this is the trenches, because I was like working every single day. So so then I worked my first day at the strip club in LA when I was 21, and I made $200, 200 something dollars. And I was like, whoa, in a day, that's crazy. Um, so yeah, that was the start of my dancing journey. Then I danced in Alaska for 6 years on and off. I danced in Arizona simultaneously. So it was a lot of traveling because dancing in California, Los Angeles, California, became very toxic and dangerous. And when I say toxic and dangerous, I mean, one, a lot of the clubs in LA are racist. They will not hire dark skinned, black, thick women unless they know you for real. Like, they gotta know you. They gotta, like, you have to have connections. And when I say you have to have connections, you have to have connections with girls who are already making money, because it's pretty much a Um, I mean, it's an industry like any other industry. Like you got to know people because everybody's trying to make money, especially in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a money state. I had known my friend, she got me into two clubs in LA, but when we were cool, I started working at Van Nuys. Van Nuys is known to pretty much like the place of like porn and you know, you get it. So basically what happened was I discovered that that's what that was and I didn't do anything and they took me off the schedule completely. And so COVID hit and I started working in Arizona and Arizona was like a pretty much 18-year-old up club, no alcohol at all. And it was good. And simultaneously while I was working there, I got money from the government because COVID was handing out a check to everybody who had a job, who was let go. So I got a check from that club because they pretty much everybody got fired and yeah. So yeah, I was getting paid from the government and I was dancing in Arizona. I stopped dancing in Arizona because management was taking too much money. And I was like, that was around the time I was starting to get brand deals because I was working on my social media and like pretty much showcasing my music, you know, doing my damn thing. I was showcasing my personality and being me. Then I was like, fuck this, I don't need this because they're taking too much money out of my paychecks and the fuck I look like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I really took OnlyFans seriously, they only take 20%. Like, this job is not worth it. Why are you taking like 30% of my dances and I'm only coming home with two when I should be coming home with like eight? Like, the fuck? You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. It wasn't that crazy, but it was like, I remember seeing some girls' paychecks. Like, granted, they were making like 3 grand or maybe more, maybe less, who knows? But they would have to pay out like $500 to the club.
Damn!
There was no cap on that bitch because they were taking percentages versus like when I was working in Scottsdale. Scottsdale was really good money and they had like a cap depending on what time you came in. Same with Alaska. Alaska had a cap depending on what time you came in. And the highest that they would take from you was like 140, right? You could make 3 grand and give out 140. You could make 10 grand and give out 140. But yeah, Tucson was tripping, I ain't gonna lie. Then I just, started just working in Alaska after, this whole shit happened with me trying to go back to school in LA, me trying to really pursue my music after a whole trip to Europe. Between that, I became a hippie. I have locks under here, purple hair. I'm wearing purple. I'm kind of in that crown chakra energy thing going on. Um, so I'm a very spiritual person. However, and spirituality kind of keeps you ungrounded. And I'm in this era and phase of my life where, oh, money is needed, money is good, money is, you know, a positive in my life instead of seeing it as a negative because, spirituality really hyper emphasizes, dismantling the ego and not being too materialistic, knowing who your true self is and all this stuff. But, then I became broke. So so then I was like, you know what? What am I really good at? And what do I actually really like? Oh, okay. I like getting money from men because it makes me feel powerful and it makes me feel good to, take back my power from the people who have made me feel insecure and small and undesirable for how I look or who I am, even though they didn't know who I was, right? They assumed they put their own labels on who I was based off of how I looked or some type of association they had with a person who looked like me. And with femdom, stripping, whatever, it's like I became this goddess who could change their minds with a simple conversation. Because a lot of the times I find myself talking to clients, especially the older white men, and they would be like, "Oh, you're so smart. Like, why are you in the club?" Granted, they say that to everybody, right? But they would really like talk to me and be like, "Okay, are you putting your money in this S&P 500? Are you or like I know you're doing this, I know you're doing that." They would assume and you're going places and such, right? So I like to prove to them that I am more than a stereotype to them. But it's not really about proving to them about who I am. It's more like them actually experiencing who I am instead of assuming who I am. In a safe club environment, which is, most of the clubs that I worked at because they're women owned mostly, I love to kind of switch the scripts on the men in the club who I work with or who I dance for because, you know, a gentleman's club is made for men for the most part. It's made for men to feel like they are desired and for women to approach the men a lot of the times. But in some cases, well, here, I'll say this. A gentleman's club or strip club is made for men so that men can feel desired in a place because in real life, women don't desire men at all. Women are not approaching men for the most part, right? It's mostly men approaching women because men are designed to chase. Men are designed to go after the thing that they want. So, in an environment like that, I have a lot of masculine energy by default. Like, if you see my zodiac chart, I have like 9 masculine, 1 feminine. That might change depending on, sidereal charts or whatever. But in the clubs that I worked at, I was more of the initiator. In my dating life, I am more of the initiator. And for a long time, I really enjoyed it. Like it's fun, and I can still do it. But right now, it's exhausting because I feel like I'm more in my yin era. I'm more in my esoteric. Let me help you only if you ask for help. Because when I give help to people and they don't ask for it, they don't appreciate it. But if someone's paying me for my time and they're asking my opinion, then they really appreciate it. When I'm in a club environment, I love to switch the script and kind of make it about myself. And they love it. Like my clientele specifically really does love it. And they love it because it's not really about me being robotic and me being like, "Oh, I'm gonna pretend to cater to you so you can give me money," because it's transactional. It's more like I'm making you feel like I am your dream girl and I am the best experience you'll ever have by creating a human experience of dialogue. And I'm forcing you to want to understand and get to know me, regardless if, I have created a persona of who I am to you in this moment, right? But it forces the client to feel like they have to engage in a world that's outside of their own ego, right? And it makes them bond to you so that you are able to, you know, get what you want from that person without making them feel like they've been used, right? Or I mean, you can have a genuine experience and have it be equally reciprocal, right? Let me go back to the rejection part though. When you're doing sex work, whether it be dom work, stripping, uh whatever the fuck, right? You have to have a very strong, especially as a black woman, you have to have a very strong will. You have to have a very strong will, a very strong plan. Um Yeah, you can't let things like racism, body shaming, hair discrimination, colorism, homophobia, all those things. You can't let them get to you because you are somebody's type and it's energy based, regardless if it's, if you're doing sex work or not, if you're even on social media, that's all energy based. If you're applying for a 9 to 5, they're assessing who you are as a person. If you fit their job criteria or their environment, right? They're assessing you unless you create your own world. And that's what I'm trying to do because my stripping era has ended. It's ending, right? And do not enjoy dancing anymore. It takes a lot of energy out of you to go on stage and perform in front of men who are, for the most part, not for the most part, the type of men I attract aren't really too egotistical, but sometimes you can attract, it's not even you can attract, sometimes the club attracts egotistical, selfish, you know, dangerous, or just waste time wasters. People who come in, they don't spend any money. And also, if we're being honest, stripping is a dying industry because we have things like OnlyFans, we have things like um VR, virtual reality. I mean, Megan the Stallion's on virtual reality, shaking her ass, right? So, or whatever. Like we have so many different things. So Gen Z men are not really going to the strip club because the strip club was also designed for ego. Like those types of men will go. Those types of men will go and throw a bag, not to, you know, give to the divine feminine, but they are there to. Sometimes they're there to just show off and be like, "Oh, I spent more money on this girl. What are you gonna do about it?" It's like a show off thing, like they're peacocks or some shit, right? So I don't really want to be in an environment where to see whose like dick is bigger, to be honest, or whose dick is smaller. Um, I am focusing on attracting my clientele to me via YouTube, via who I am as a person, and also I don't really get to talk about myself at all. I don't get to talk about myself much. Even in the club, like I say I like to kind of like wrap it around, but sometimes it takes forever and sometimes I don't get to do that. Sometimes I do have to cater to the person, and that's the club. The club is really in it's like pay like cheap ass therapy for these guys. Like yeah, sometimes we get paid thousands of dollars. Sometimes we get paid $0, right? But it's still cheaper than a fucking therapist. So it's a lot mentally, and it's a lot physically. And not everybody appreciates and not everybody should have access to my knowledge, who I am as a person, um, even looking at me or how I'm dancing. Cause yeah. Long story short, if you're a black girl, if you know, if you've been thinking about dancing, if you've been thinking about dom work, if you've been thinking about the sex industry, I say don't get into it for real unless you are extremely confident and you have unwavering, will to continue, keep going, stay positive, and you have another goal at the end of the tunnel. I'm not saying that dancing, dom work, that type of lifestyle can't be your end all be all. If you're gonna do that, get into teaching it, and that's what I'm also doing too. I like this type of work. I like it because women can take control of it and make it more ethical. I don't like to demonize sex work because Because that's something that is needed, honestly. Sex work is needed. It really is. It's needed, and it helps people to regulate their emotions if done in a healthy way through communication and emotional intelligence. But that's a conversation again for another day because, yeah. Thank you guys for watching this video. Now it's 40 minutes, gonna have to do a lot of editing. But yeah, if you like this video, you know what to do. Subscribe in the link down below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what else you want to hear. Um, yeah. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Okay.